the journey on the first week of this quarter, looking at the book of Nehemiah. We didn't know what that journey was going to be like, but we braced ourselves. We sat there, we held tight, and we braced ourselves. It's not one of the easy books to read, but believe me, I have learned a lot from reading this book. From what started with tears, I know I'm echoing the pastor's words from last week. I can't help but do so. From what started with somebody's tears, his brokenness over the walls that had fallen down in Jerusalem, he moaned and prayed, and then he went into action. You see, Nehemiah was not uncomfortable where he was. He was a man who was at the king's palace. He didn't have much business living his comfortable life to rebuild the walls in Jerusalem. Was there no one living in Jerusalem? But he left his comforts and went to build. He was there when all those struggles were taking place. When he faced opposition, when they had to do social reforms, he was there. He did not send somebody, he did not write letters and give instructions while sitting at the king's palace. He was there working on the ground. When the wall was completed, we see in Nehemiah chapter 8, the people are gathered, and the law of the Lord is read to these people. These people were reminded of what God wanted from them. This is not an unfamiliar concept, because if you look at Joshua chapter 24, he gathers the people around and reminds them of the Red Sea, the River Jordan, and all the other things that the God of Israel had done for them. You know, sometimes we need to be reminded of these things. Forgive me if I sound a bit confrontational, but the book of Nehemiah requires action, and there can be no action if there is no confrontation. They gathered and they were told what the Lord required of them. And in chapter 9, we see them confessing their sins. So there is pain at the beginning. There is all this building that takes place. And people are reminded, when this wall is completed, they get reminded of what is required of them. Today we need reminding what is required of us. Oftentimes we get lost in all that is happening around us, and we lose the concept. We need to be reminded of what the Lord requires of us. So what we see here in chapter 10 is a revival. A revival that is sweeping through the land. A revival that is reaching new heights. These people had taken time to re-examine their lives. They had thought about this, and they wanted to make a commitment and seal it, because this was a serious matter. It wasn't just another thing. They knew what the Lord wanted of them, and they wanted to make sure they put that in writing and sealed it. I like the English expression that we have set things in stone and we have things in concrete. It just reminds me of a story that is told. A man had just finished doing some work on his concrete driveway. The concrete was still wet. And he goes into his house to have something to drink. And he watches through the window. And there a young person comes and steps on his concrete and starts playing with his concrete. We all know what happens when the concrete is wet. You step on it, that sets in the concrete, and that doesn't come out. So what the man quickly does is he goes outside and has a few words, very strong words, with this young person. And when all this was happening, his wife was watching. So when he comes back inside, his wife says to him, "Why did you shout at the young person?" I thought you loved young people, you loved children. His answer was, I love young children in the abstract, not in my concrete. So in the abstract, things exist in a theoretical sort of way. So this man loved children, but not in concrete. So when it comes to the grind, if you do things in abstract, but revival cannot exist in the abstract, because we say abstract things exist only in theory, not in practice. So revival must be a concrete issue. It must be something solid, something that you can feel, something that you can touch, something that you can see. But there is one challenge. We live in a world where everything looks good on paper. For the young people, you have social profiles. What is on your profile is what you are, or what you believe you are, or what your friends believe you are. But that's only in abstract. Is that really you? Well, we can love in the abstract, not in concrete. We love the truth in abstract, but not in concrete. We love spiritual revival. It is a wonderful concept, only in abstract, but not in concrete. We love to have a revival, but not if it will interfere with my plans. Not if I have to reconsider the way I treat my brothers and sisters. Not if I have to change the way I feel about my brothers and sisters. Not if I have to change. It's okay in the abstract, not in the concrete. But what will it take for a revival to begin in me? And what will it take for a revival to begin in you? For Nehemiah, it took tears, prayer. But what will it take for us to revive? What will it take before? We read chapter 37, verse 1 to 3. It says, the hand of the Lord was upon me, and carried me out in the spirit of the Lord, and set me down in the midst of the valley which was full of bones, and caused me to pass by them round about. And behold, there were many in the open valley, and lo, they were very dry. And he said to me, Son of man, can these bones live? Same question I pose to you. You look around, you think it's not going to happen. But can these bones live? When you look around you, you think it looks like a valley of dry bones. Let me tell you, bones are, somebody falls there, we perform CPR, we try doing all sorts of things. But if you see dry bones, you just walk by, because all hope is lost. But when the word of the Lord is spoken, it makes a difference. The dry bones live. The dry bones start connecting. So all hope is not lost. I don't know what valley you are hovering over, or what valley you are at the minute. I'm in a valley, and I've been in a valley maybe too long. It's time for my bones to get revived. But how do I get them revived? Only by the word of the Lord. So Ezekiel is instructed to prophesy unto these bones. I'm going to work with some children here. Are there any children in the house? Are there any children in the house? Right, let's work with some bones here. Starting with the toe bone. Let's try and go back to that valley. What's the next bone? Can I hear a bone? From the toe bone to the leg bone. To the foot bone, yes. So we see a toe bone and we see a foot bone here. What's the next bone? The ankle bone, yes. Somebody said the ankle bone. Thank you, sister. Where do we go next? From the ankle to the... We all know this song here that I'm trying to put across. From the ankle bone to the leg bone, and then where do we go? To the knee bone, and then thigh bone, and then the hip bone, and then where do we go? The backbone now. Yes, backbone, thank you. And then from the backbone, where do we go? Shoulder bone. And from the shoulder bone, where do we go? Neck bone, and then the head bone. And then there we've got a complete skeleton, but is it alive? No, it's still not alive. What does it need? It needs the word of the Lord. So when Ezekiel started prophesying to his bones, the process of decomposition was reversed. These bones came to life. So what I'm trying to put across to you, you may think maybe all hope is lost. For those that have been in the church for too long, it's not as when we first started this journey, but God's word can revive that. So Ezekiel had that shaking. He had the sound of revival. He had those bones rattling. And then the bones came together. Even if it looks like we're in a valley of dry bones at the minute, revival can begin. But what will it take? I can assure you, when revival starts taking place, it's like a chain reaction. When those bones started getting back together, nothing was going to reverse that. So let us yearn for a spiritual revival that will lift us to greater heights. Support our leaders, the Nehemiahs of today. When there is work to be done, let us come and help them do the work. Because it never seems like the right time to start a revival. It never seems like the right time to go out and evangelize. It never seems like the right time to do anything, because there is always something else that's going on wrong somewhere in our lives or out there. But what I am doing today is I'm talking to somebody today in the church. Somebody who will stand up despite whatever is going in your life. Somebody who will rise up and actively participate. Someone who can say, I will. When Jesus calls his workers to come and do some work today, I'm talking to that somebody who will say, I will. When calamity strikes, I will rise up. When troubles come, I will stand firm. When a brother falls, I will firmly grasp his hand. When he reaches out, I'll be there by his side. When a sister stumbles on the way, I will offer comfort and assurance. When called upon to serve, I will willingly go. When the master commands, I will gladly obey. Even in the most difficult circumstances, I will not back down. By his grace, I will. Not in abstract, but in concrete. But what will it take for a revival to begin?